Hello everybody, Nanette at Sheep Happens on our lovely afternoon in the Nashville area today. Hoping to be able to talk with you guys and share a little life. Today, nothing planned, just a simple time to chat and interact with each other. Depending upon what you got going, and if you have things in mind that you want to talk about, that's what we'll do. I'm never short of things that I'm thinking about in my own life. Hey, good afternoon, Chris Dorman. Good to see you. But sometimes it's nice if people want to share what's on their own hearts and direct it. So we'll talk for a few minutes and see what unfurls and what unveils itself. The Sanctuary International crowd, Pastor Bob is doing well, and I know that for those of you who enjoy his Pastor Bob's coffee breaks, you've been having a fun week with Dr. Seuss, which is which is great stuff. And I'm not sure who is logged in today as Sanctuary International. Because all of us, when we're doing our little podcasts, we are logged in that way, and sometimes the lovely Facebook doesn't allow us to unlog ourselves, so we can appear to each other or to the rest of you guys as the podcaster talking. But I am guessing from the question that that's a Chris Dorman question, and if that's where we need to go with it, we'll do that, Chris. I could tell from the type of question, but maybe other people couldn't. So, unless you want to get into some deep theological discussion, everyone, you can. We can choose something else to talk about. Anyway, Pastor Bob's coffee breaks this week were Dr. Seuss oriented. Just a little fun and a little laughter around the daily stuff, trying to lighten up the daily load, because the daily load's been a little heavy, right? If you're a news watcher or a news listener or a news reader, it's all the same stuff, just maybe a newer day, a newer city, a newer place, a newer COVID type of thing, and a little overwhelming sometimes. So, this is why it's really important for all of us to have people, flesh-to-flesh people in our local networks that we can chat with and we can spend time with, even if we have to sit 6 feet apart. Because, before there was digital media, before there were electronics, before there was instant everything, our brains could rest and rejoice and accept the blessings of God and be grateful for what we have without the constant interruption of upsetness and the constant interruption of news stuff. And that's a good thing. I have to make a conscious decision to turn off everything here in my office, and I've just realized there was something I didn't turn off, so we'll hope it doesn't go on. All my digital devices had to be turned to do not disturb, right? So that you and I could spend some time together undisturbed. And isn't that important? Do you do that ever? Do you turn your device to do not disturb? Not just when you're driving, and some of us don't even do it then, but do you turn it to do not disturb when you want to spend time with the Lord? When you're home with your family, if you're sitting at the table having a meal. Or let's say you're home and you're a single individual and you're maybe having a meal and you took the time to orchestrate having a meal with somebody else and you're FaceTiming or whatever the Android version of that is. You're spending time digitally with somebody, but you're doing it as much face-to-face as you could. Do you set it up so that that's not disturbed? You're not getting interruptions by text messages and reminders and anything else, so that there's where the person knows they've got your attention and you know that you have their attention. Oh, yes, Dave Hart. I've listened to Disturbed. I love Disturbed. And Jennifer Wagner, nice to see you here this afternoon. And if you do it quite often, that's wonderful. Do you do it set times? Do you have set times in the day or the week that you do that? Or is it more spontaneous, as more organic when the situation calls for it? And Dave Hart, Disturbed, of course, their redo of The Sound of Silence is probably what first attracted my attention, though my husband has heard them. But yes, I would turn on Do Not Disturb to listen to Disturbed. So, are you often interrupted? Are you interrupted just because it's hard to keep your attention on something? Have you noticed, especially for those of us who are a little older, that the practice of focus is it's a practice. And we may have developed that in school or in training, if you were training for something athletic or otherwise, training for a mathematics competition, but in training where your focus is required, and you've developed the ability to hone in and tune other things out. That is really a practice. Now, there are some people for whom that's harder than others, and I recognize there are legitimate situations with attention deficit issues where that's hard to do, but we can, when we live in a constant state of interruption, develop a habit of not being able to focus. I'll let you decide if that habit is bad or not, but for me, that's a bad habit. I want to be able to sit down and open a book up and read and stay focused on what I'm reading and not realize 3 pages later that I haven't really been paying attention. Or worse, being in a phone conversation or a face-to-face conversation with somebody and experience buzzes or vibrations or other things that make my mind stray from what the person is saying to me. I discovered that a long time ago, and actually I tried very diligently to make myself available without having to even be tempted by those vibrations. I turn them off. But truly and really being present for another human being and having another human being be present for yourself. God's there listening all the time, right? But do you feel him listening to you? It takes practice. And we've talked before here about grounding and doing kinds of things for ourselves to be in the moment. But this is a little different perspective on it. We're talking about making a choice in the moment to be present for another individual and to be in a position where the other individual is present for us. And we can do this in a number of ways. Obviously, face-to-face is a little easier because in that situation, we can even take ourselves away from the temptation of other things. We can move ourselves away from digital devices. But even in face-to-face, you can, if you're not used to paying attention, you can be distracted. You could see something in the distance. If there's TV on in the background, your eyes can wander to that show or what the movement is. So, practicing being there in the moment in a very different way, not to settle your own anxiety or your own, not to ground yourself for the purpose of being there for yourself, but to be there for somebody else. Even if you're not finding it interesting, right? Is everything that comes out of our mouth interesting to somebody else? No. And sadly, women tend to, on par, talk many more words in a day than men. Although there's people in this chat room right now for whom that, I don't know if that would be true for you guys, but is what comes out of our mouth worthy of the words and the time that somebody else's ears have to spend on it? And that's a great question, right? What are we saying? Is it worth being heard? Is it worth the time and the breath that we utter? We spend a lot of time uttering things about ourselves that we would like to have people hear about us. And, there's nothing like sitting with somebody that's not judgmental and able to listen to us in our time of woe or grief or exultation or passion, having a passionate discussion. But in those day-to-day things where we're interacting with people on the phone or in emails or whatever we're doing, if we're really paying attention and focused on what's being said to us, are we able to respond to that? Are we able to process what's been heard? Perhaps we even have a pause after somebody's said something to us or asked a question where they're wondering if we're listening, because we actually are processing what they have to say. The idea that we can change our life by listening better is novel for most of us. We know that we can change other people's lives by listening better, but it makes us a better human being. It makes us a better us. Dr. Seuss does it with lots of rhyming. He captures our attention, so we're interested in what Dr. Seuss has to say. But are we interested in what each other has to say? And that's truly the challenge, to get our minds off of stuff that we're addicted to electronically. And I'm not just talking about a phone. It could be a TV, it could be a radio, it could be anything that's electronic. Or things that we're addicted to in a physical sense with coffee, chocolate, food, drugs, alcohol, whatever. Taking ourselves away from those distractions and being able to focus on each other. So Dave says, there was a pamphlet long ago called The Tyranny of Urgent. And you cannot say if you fully ever mastered that. Well, me either, right? And what is urgent? Maybe redefining that, right? So if something is urgent, you get an urgent phone call, does that mean you need to take that phone call and take yourself away from what you're doing in the moment? And sometimes there are circumstances where that's true. Somebody's in a medical situation and you're anxiously awaiting news. You need to have news. And that's even changed. There was a time when we'd go off and our parents would tell us, come back for dinner. When it gets dark, come back for dinner. There were no phones to call. There was a landline. And before that, before there were phones, you just expected kids to do what they were told and show up for dinner. And when you live long ways from each other, we didn't expect to have immediate updates about medical procedures performed on our family and friends miles away, days away, maybe weeks away by travel. Those things have all changed. So our expectations have changed. And with those change in expectations, our brains have changed. And how we chemically process what happens around us. Our fight or flights have changed. We are exposed to so much stimulus. I feel for the individuals who have an autistic spectrum diagnosis, where they're they're constantly assaulted by stimuli, because I feel that way, and I don't have that diagnosis, but I feel like between email and text messaging, and face it, for those of us who work, we might have a few emails and a few places where people will text, and depending upon the urgency of how badly they want our attention, they might feel that they need to contact us through all those means at the same time. Or do you find yourself doing that? You might email somebody, call them and leave them a message, or call them over and over again, hoping that they'll pick up the phone instead of making you leave a message. You text them too, and you're like, you are driven crazy by the inability to complete the connection that you want. That's crazy making thinking. It's crazy making behavior. And we practice this over and over again. Or in some cases, people practice it on us. There's some solutions for that. But all of them are choice solutions. The choosing to turn things off. The choosing to pay attention. The choosing to process something differently, the choosing to practice that, all important. And we keep bouncing back and forth around those things in our conversations from week to week. Why? Because that's what our weeks are about, right? We get up, we do life, rinse, wash, rinse, dry, repeat. Things change subtly from day to day, and sometimes magnificently big changes on a dime with something crazy like a car accident or a new job, or but the day-to-day grind, raising a child. Is it a grind? Well, it's a groove. We get into a groove. We've got, kids got to get up, they got to be fed, they have their activities, they got to be clothed, they've got to be paid attention to. There's usually some encouragement and some discipline involved, and it's a daily thing, and then they go to bed, and then you do it all over again. It's mind-boggling when you think about doing that for one or more children for 1 to 18 or more years. You develop behaviors and habits and processing, and they do the same thing with us. And in that time frame, we either get better at certain things, or perhaps we stick our head in the sand and ignore some stuff. But are we there for the kids? Are we there and available? I'm pretty sure that my grandmother thought it was crazy when there became TV available for putting children in front of. Now, my mom didn't actually use that. We had very limited exposure to TV. But all that to say, that I had friends who would go home after school and watch TV until dinner time, and then maybe watch TV after dinner time, and watch TV on the weekends. And in fact, they didn't even have meal times with their parents. That was foreign to me, but the idea that we would be able to do that. So, okay, here we are now. We're here in 2020. It's August 2020. COVID is running around, and everybody in the world's exposed to it. What are we doing right now? What kinds of things can we do right now? So if you're single, and if you're living alone, because you might be single but with a housemate or an apartment mate or whatever, but if you're living alone and you aren't wanting to be closer than 6 feet to people, what can you do so that you can get this practice of focus and yet have the benefit of the reciprocity of conversation? We talk about Socratic conversation. There's a Socratic discussion when we're talking about God and the Word. But, the give and take, the ebb and flow of discussion where We discuss what happened during our day and who we've talked to and what's going on and news in the world and how we feel about it. How can we do that kind of thing? Yeah, there are many people that are using digital devices to develop this network of support, where you can have a dinner party by Zoom, or and it doesn't need to be more than 2 people. It doesn't need to be 20 people. But it's certainly totally possible to have a group gathering at a select time frame where you shut out the world and just check in with each other and talk about it with each other. There are programs out there where people have done classes together and they want to keep in touch with each other, and because Zoom has made that possible, or other platforms like Zoom, where you can set a time and check in with each other and tune everything else out and really be able to exchange ideas. Are any of you guys doing that right now? Are any of you involved in something like that? My husband and I are. We have a couple of groups that we gather with on a weekly basis through Zoom. And it's not because we're afraid to be closer than 6 feet together specifically. It's just that whenever you're involved with more than one other person, everybody's got their own perspective, and this allows for us to have conversations together. We don't even do it around a meal. We meet sort of in between, and one of them every couple of weeks, and it's fun. Sometimes everybody in the group shows up. Sometimes it's just a couple of people, but it's similar to a family situation, and it's a choice, right? Gosh, do I want to be inconvenienced from doing whatever I might be doing for myself to go spend time with some other people who want to spend some quality time having discussion about their days and what's going on? It's a sacrifice, right? Growing up in a family there's a certain amount of sacrifice. When you're a child, you don't really know that that's happening yet. You haven't experienced living on your own. So you don't really realize that the sacrifice your parents are making. And is it truly a sacrifice? Most of the time it's done in love, but it's a constant decision to put yourself and your personal needs and desires and wants off to the side to tend to the needs of the family, the needs of the children, the spouse, the partner, whatever. Anybody doing any kind of telephone conversation, telephone connection, where you're talking to family members more than you might have before, or friends more than you might have before? Have any of you guys revived writing? Like an actual letter with a pen and an envelope and postage. A quiet time to sit down and do that. Dave says here he goes to church every Sunday morning with his English goth friends on Zoom for 2 or 3 hours. Yeah, it is, and people miss each other. We have these relationships that we had before March. That's sort of when things started to unfurl in a good portion of Europe, outside of Italy, and in the United States. A little later in some other parts of the world, a little earlier in some other parts of the world. But, we were all these active people, and now we're wandering around with masks on our face. And for those of you who had active practices at a gym, you went to a gym and worked out, or you used to go outside and meet friends and run, or perhaps you competed in athletic things, triathlons, 5K runs, whatever, any kind of thing like that. You went to church on a regular basis, or maybe you had some other thing. Maybe you had a yoga practice that you went to on the weekends, and now that's not meeting anymore. Hey, Charlie, good to see you this afternoon. You said we started making cards and sending them to friends and family to stay connected. Oh my gosh, I bet that was so appreciated by every single person that's received one from you so far, and will be appreciated for anybody in the future. And who doesn't like to receive a card with a special touch saying hello? I got a letter yesterday in the mail, addressed to me, handwritten from a local resident in the town I live in. It included a Jehovah's Witness pamphlet and a handwritten note from the individual inviting me to read the pamphlet and to know that I'm being thought about and prayed for. I opened that up and I read that, and I didn't throw it away. I don't care about the pamphlet, and I'm not going to adopt Jehovah's Witness beliefs, but some kind soul took time to write to me. Clearly they want for me to be saved their way, but it was an act of kindness, and it deserves an act of kindness back, right? Are we doing those to each other? The choice to learn to focus. And Charlie, I know that you and your kids, you work on dolls as well. You guys have crafts and things in your home that require paying attention to what you're doing, to the exclusion of other things. It involves your brain and your hands working on something symbiotically, and that necessarily requires focus. You can't do it otherwise. You know, we don't even drive our cars that way anymore, and we so should. I mean, I know if I have the radio on in the car, I can totally be paying attention to the radio and the content of this whatever the show I'm listening to is dispersing into my brain. How closely am I paying attention to driving? I mean, and of course now we have devices and other stuff, but I always thought, you know, even the radio, you know, in a long drive, you know, can you pay attention for 7 hours while you're driving without being able to have something else to occupy your brain? There are certain functions in driving that, if you do it enough, are habitual, and but you know, we don't want to detract from the safety behind the wheel with distraction. So I know truck drivers out there, you guys are listening to the radio, or maybe shortwave radio connection with each other, or other ways now, and maybe listening to podcasts, audiobooks, that kind of thing. But these kinds of things and those kinds of situations do develop focused attention, right? Have you ever tried listening to an audiobook? Some people can fall right into that and tune everything else out immediately with no problem. Others, you know, the audiobook is, you know, the narration is occurring, and you might find yourself 20 minutes later going, I didn't even remember anything that the person said because I was unable to focus on that and pay attention. It's certainly a tough thing to do. So honestly, other things out there that you might be doing to get connected with each other, doing crafts, sharing things. I like to crochet and knit, among a ton of other kinds of crafts, and I have people, you know, guilds that I have joined over the years where we would get together in person and share what we're doing. And for that time that we were gathered together, we're doing it exclusively. We're not tending to other things. We're showing each other what we've done, and that's super exciting. And perhaps you, maybe you get together and talk about the Word that way. Sometimes we do on the Sanctuary Facebook page. I know that there are discussions going on there often with people having interaction, and it's not always attached to a podcast, nor does it need to be. Our family is family to be able to do these kinds of things in such a way that we can log in anytime and find a friend, or know that it's a safe place and that we can focus and request a response to something. We can post a question on the page and expect that somebody will get back to us. Maybe not immediately, because we're all doing something different, but the intention is there. The intention to be connected, the intention to pay attention to a post long term and go back to it and see what people have to say, and turn things off. And so obviously, you can turn your devices off completely, but you can also organize them and set your notifications and settings in such a way to help you focus and make choices in a way that helps you keep connected. I love the idea of not only doing our grounding exercises for ourselves, but learning to practice those with others. You guys have given me some great examples, but in our household, we've been doing some flute lessons, Native American flute lessons. And that requires being present in your breath and present with your instrument and present in your surroundings. And you can develop an interaction with each other. People who play instruments in bands, orchestras, or circles, drum circles, flute circles, those kinds of things. A total way to be connected in a completely different way. No words. Just being connected with sound, vibrations, and experiencing each other and our circumstances without uttering a word. All there with the same common purpose, right? To have an experience about a band or music or drums or flutes or whatever the situation is. That's true when we come together on our little gatherings here. We come together because we're interested in each other's lives. We want to see what each other is doing, and we want to sort of talk about it a little bit, maybe check in, have something exciting to share, or maybe we're just needing a gentle ear and a shoulder to put our head on. We can't do that if we don't make the choice to spend the time together. So, as we wander through our life, day by day, with our kids, with our friends, with our spouses, with our groups, our church groups, our knitting groups, our card groups, our bands, whatever we're doing, how can we be better connected with them? And how can we be better in ourselves to contribute to that connection? How can we contribute to a better connection? Then there's so many different choices. Hey, Pamela, good to see you. I'm so glad to see you this afternoon. We've been talking about getting connected and being able to be a better self while being better focused at it. And I bet you have some great suggestions for that. I don't know if you've got time to share them, but if you do, that's awesome. We're talking about how we want to be able to be so connected and so focused that we're actually being better listeners, we're being better listened to, and we can have experiences that are broader and be open to opportunity, right? So if I'm in a drum circle and I'm not talking, what am I doing? Well, I may be drumming or using some other percussion type thing. What if I wanted to watch a movie with somebody and we can't be in the same place at the same time, but we want to be able to discuss the experience? What kinds of ways are there to do that? Hey, Dwayne, I'm glad to see you're here. You're on the road. So, I'm so glad you've been able to listen the whole time. And you have, I know, amazing focus. Dude, I am in awe of the hours you put in on the road and what you do. And I'm so glad you're here with us this afternoon. Thanks for checking in and saying hi. I know people who've put together parties to watch movies together, and I haven't participated in that yet, because I'm not sure I could actually watch the movie and also pay attention to chatting on the side. But maybe like a book club, watching a movie and then we could all talk about it later. Or I guess I could just choose not to be distracted by the chatting that's going on with other people watching the movie. But there you run into personal choice. Like, I have some friends that talk through the TV shows and movies, and they talk the whole time. My husband can't. It's even bothersome to him if I do a little knitting on the side. It's distracting from paying attention to what's going on. He's got intense focus when he's really interested in something. So, Pamela, what are you saying there? You feel chronic disconnection in a lot of things, so you're not sure if you're a good person to answer that. Well, you have to be aware that you're disconnected, right? So you have to be aware of that. If you're doing a task, do you have a particular set of things you set yourself up to do so that you don't get distracted? And that might just be something simple as being in a place where nothing else is going on. But it is really hard. Like, if you're in a big room and a big party, if you go into a big party pre-COVID, everybody's hanging out and there's lots of noise and there's food perhaps and things to drink and 10 discussions happening around you the whole time. Boy, extroverts are really, that's a happy place for an extrovert. For an introvert or somebody who's challenged to stay focused, that could be bedlam. So you don't probably put yourself in those kinds of situations to feel connected. And that's okay. We know how to feel best connected. So what kinds of things are we doing right now to accomplish that? Extroverts, you're probably really struggling. You want to have a bunch of people watching the movie with you and chatting about it, and maybe even make the same dinner together, or maybe you make dinner together and you all discuss what you're having for dinner. But you could do it on a digital platform and reconnect. And in those circumstances, are you focused and paying attention to what other people are saying? That's an interesting thing to think about as well. Extrovert, introvert, it doesn't necessarily mean shallow conversation. If you're an extrovert, you may still want to be with people, but be deeply connected and have a reciprocal conversation. And you can be an introvert and really only want shallow conversation because it's a struggle. It's a struggle to be with people and be connected with people. So great ideas here. Let's talk about that a little bit. God calls us to be in community with each other and to reach out to each other. Introvert, extrovert, he doesn't differentiate. He doesn't say, hey, you don't like to be by yourself, so you don't have to reach out. That's not it at all. He wants you to be in fellowship. And hey, for those who want to be in fellowship with 100 people all the time, that's great, but he still wants you to be in intimate fellowship with each other. And you can't do that easily with 100 people, and you can't do it easily with no people. So, where's the happy medium? Is there a happy medium? Do you even think about it? Pamela, I have to be drunk to feel good at a party situation. Well, yeah, being inebriated is not good for our temple. And again, drinking, it's a personal choice. Over drinking, personal choice. Your body knows when it's had too much. And paying attention to that, it matters. So, yeah, you're right. Being inebriated to the point where it affects how you process. It takes the edge off, right? So what other ways could you take the edge off? Maybe a multi faceted party where there's that much stimulus is not the best choice. But still, you want to be connected. So here we are. And I always wish that, I wish that FaceTime Live allowed us more than one person. We could like be zooming back and forth so we could have the discussion, and I didn't have to hope to have you be in a position where you have time to text or talk back through a keyboard. I'd love to hear the words from your own lips, and I'd love to have that kind of conversation. But I am appreciative that we're together now, and we are indeed talking this through and thinking about it. And if you're watching this at a later time on YouTube or whatever, I get back to this stuff. I'm not super timely, but I am totally interested in your ideas and what you're doing. What are you doing to reach out to each other, to feel connected, and to do it in a focused way? So we had Charlie today talking about her family doing cards and sending them out, reaching out to people through traditional mail. Think about this. It takes to send just a reach out text message or an email, less than 30 seconds probably to do that. Just to say, hey, I'm thinking about you. How often do we do that? And when we're doing it, do we mean it? Now, I have a friend I receive those kinds of things from sporadically, but they're genuine. I know he means every word of it, and I feel touched. I feel the love of my brother from those connections. Do I do that enough myself? And I'm saying right now, no, I don't. I haven't carved out a specific time to sit down and do that. I kind of run from one need to the next, and I'm really not as good at that as I wish I were, and that's a choice. And I'm saying out loud now, I want to make a better choice about that. Because people are important. My friends are important, and my acquaintances, they're important to me, and I can't possibly reach out to everybody every day, but I could certainly do a couple of people every day, and do it meaningfully, because I do mean it. Every day I pray for my clients. I pray for everybody in these chat rooms that I know by name, and those who I don't know, I get a more global prayer, but I spend time on that every day because it matters to me. But you don't know that I'm doing that, so it might be nice to just reach out and say howdy. I wonder if that's something that's very easy for many of you to do, because it would be a discipline, right? It's a structure. And sometimes it's hard for us to get into those kinds of habits. And that's never been a habit. I didn't grow up with access to text messaging and emailing. These have been things that have come into my life later on. And for the young folk who are teens and 20s who grew up with the texting and, go back and forth with hundreds of text messages a day, maybe that's a little easier to stay connected, but is it? Are you reaching out to just one or two people, or do you have a whole, are you reaching out to many people and letting them know how you feel and what you're thinking of? What are you saying there, Pamela? You're bad at reaching out to people? Yeah, I can understand that. We hesitate to do something because we're not feeling confident ourselves, right? So true. And then there we are, back at ourselves. I was saying at the beginning, let's be better listeners, not spend so much time on our own thoughts. And yet the very thing sometimes that keeps us from being able to be in a position to listen is that we're in our own thoughts. We're worried about what people will say or think about us. And honestly, that's neither here nor there. And yet our brains are so intricate, so complex. We truly are our own biggest roadblocks sometimes, right? So if you're doing that, if you're pausing, if you're thinking about reaching out to somebody and you find yourself hesitating, I encourage you, I challenge you, go forth, connect. Do something different today. Do something different now if you want. I mean, I'd love it if you just hung out here and continued to share with me, but if you feel prompted now, go forth now and connect differently with somebody. And don't just do spur of the moment, knee jerk, run out, I got to do that. Run out, but choose it. Choose what works for you. Are you introverted? What's the best way to get connected with somebody else and create an environment where you're listening to them and you're also able to be heard? If you're extroverted, same challenge. And then within those confines, we're each uniquely created. God loves us. There's not one of us that he doesn't think about and care about every single moment, all the time. And there's not one of us for whom there isn't a network of support out there. Yeah, we're responsible for organizing that and creating it, but we're also responsible for the call upon our lives to be that for somebody else. Children are off the hook, but they're being modeled to by us. They're being modeled to, and our friends, they see and watch what we do. We're modeling all the time. Are we modeling Jesus? Are we there for each other? Only you know, besides God, how you can best be there for somebody else. And if it means getting out of your own stumbling way, well, that's a start, right? You've identified that. It's a start. And it should certainly not be the end of it. It's a first step. I'm uncomfortable reaching out to somebody else. So reach out and don't require a reply. And don't make it about you. Reach out and tell somebody that you're thinking about them, that you care about them, that you love them. If you have a relationship with them that's intimate enough that you are able to be even more personal than that, you can, tell them that you hope their car got fixed, or that they're having a better day at their job today, or whatever, right? Still less than 30 seconds. I challenge you. Model yourself. You're on display every day to those who know you and those who are around you. We forget all the time he's watching. I'm always glad that we don't have cameras inside our house. We don't even have a TV that has a camera in it. None of that smart TV stuff. Because I want to have a place that's safe for me, and for some reason I feel like that's safe. People can't see inside my home. Not because there's something bad to see. I just want to be relaxed and not under some sort of judgment. Jesus sees us all the time, every minute of every day, every second of every minute. He requires no cameras. So, what would that change for you in this moment? He's watching you, whatever you're doing right now. He's doing that all the time. So taking a little bit of our self-focused time and reflecting that back, asking Him, in this moment, what are my opportunities to serve you, Lord? In this moment, what are my opportunities to love you, Lord? In this moment, what are my opportunities to share you with somebody else? In this moment, what are my opportunities to behave and model and walk in a way that somebody can see there's something special about me, and that thing is you, Lord? So special. You are so special. You are so loved. And you can actually make somebody else experience feeling special, feeling loved, feeling connected. And when that happens, you're going to feel special. You are going to feel loved. You are going to feel connected. It's inevitable. Even somebody who's absorbed pretty totally in their space and their distress and everything else, you'll be able to hear it in their voice or see it in their eye, or in the days when we could touch each other in their embrace. But you will know that you've connected and made a difference. And that's what we all crave. We want to make a difference in a positive way. The meaning of life, it's not under thought by most people. They don't wander around every day asking what's the meaning of life, but there isn't a person walking the earth that hasn't thought about it. And there are some of us who want to have that known in such detail that it becomes paralyzing for us. So we can't know the exact meaning of life. Then what is the purpose of it? And it's this right now. It's this connection. Living it for Jesus. Being there for others with Jesus. Yes, we all have a special thing that only we can do. And Jesus and you can talk about that. And you can talk about it with us too, but the one thing that we can only do, and yet all of us are supposed to be doing it, is being there for each other, connected to each other, in an encouraging, exhorting, meaningful way. For those of you who are on the road today, whether it be commuting back and forth or driving for a living, I'm just saying to you right now, I feel so blessed that you're spending time here today with all of us. And thank you for those of you who are listening to this inside your home, at work. I say to you today, thank you for spending time here. Please share, whether it's after we've talked, at a different time. Please share your ideas and ways to get connected. And I'm going to take those and share them back and forth between platforms, because everybody's got different ways to do it. And certainly express your heart about the difficulties you're having, if you are having them, and the successes, if you're having those. What are you doing that makes you feel like you've taken on a new opportunity? Playing an instrument, playing cards, walking down your neighborhood and talking to your neighbors at a distance, checking in with people, writing cards, visiting a nursing home and maybe going around the outside of the home and looking through the windows with permission, of course, and talking to the residents. Making yourself available in ways you maybe haven't made yourself available. It doesn't have to be something that you do forever. It could be a one-time thing, but something outside of yourself that's special, that calls to you, that you can share with us. Something that you do all the time that calls to you that you can share with us. Please take a moment. Take an extra 30 seconds. Let somebody know that they mean something to you and that you're thinking about them. And be sure before you do that you spent a little time praying on it. Let God prepare your heart. Because you never know what's going to come back at you from this. You could be opening yourself up to a whale full of connection. Now, in the future, in ways you couldn't know, right? Because we can never anticipate. And often it has nothing to do with us specifically, and yet because we're called to be obedient, it changes our lives. So Lord, I just thank you so much for this special time today, and thank you so much for everyone that's got ears that this is landing upon, and may you help each one of us find a way to be better connected, to use our devices. And may you also, as we talked about right at the beginning of this time together, may you close us off from being distracted from you and being distracted from each other. When we are with each other, let us be there fully. And thank you. Thank you so much for all that you do for us. And thank you guys for a great time this afternoon. I'll see you soon. Bye.